I am shocked. Shocked, I say, at the lack of Zelda content on this channel. I don't know what's wrong with me. I freaking love Zelda, and I've only brought up this series once, in any serious way, in a top 10 a year ago. That's like if Longarms decided that Pac-Man was stupid and he never wanted to do another Pac-Man game.
Hey, I play other games too. I don't just sit around and play Pac-Man all day.
Oh yeah? What you playing right now?
Pac-Man.
See, it's weird, I tells you. Weird! That I haven't covered a Zelda game on this channel before. Sorry, I was getting off topic there, but now that we're back on topic, this year for Zelda month, I decided that I would actually do a Zelda game, which is fun and exciting. I can't wait. I mean, there's lots to choose from. It's a big series. But for this video, I decided to take a quick look at my top 5 favorite Zelda temples of all time. At the moment. Right now. Whatever. Or the top 5 bestest, most devious hunks of awesome ever thrown at you by Ganon himself. At the moment. Right now. Whatever. Now I just want to specify, making a master list of all of the Zelda temples is going to be next to impossible for me because I'm always changing my mind. I can't even capture from all of the games I do have, and indeed I haven't even played all of the Zelda games. So keep that in mind. This video might be a little wishy-washy for some people, and it will not necessarily be comprehensive. This is just 5 temples that resonate with me right here, right now. So without further ado, here we go. Here we go. Number 5. Dodongos Cavern, Ocarina of Time. To begin with, we get a first rounder, and by that I mean one of those first round temples that are in every Zelda game. You know, the ones that are like the learning temples before they open up and drop the extra super secret stuff on you. What I did kind of like about these first 3, even back in the old days, was how the stories behind them and even the impetus behind you entering them in the first place were very much their own events, separate from the mythology thread that connects the later dungeons. Really made the world feel big. And this is where I think Dodongos Cavern deviates from its siblings. Inside the Deku Tree and Jabu Jabu's belly were very magical, mystical hoo-ha. I am a magical tree god that has doors and treasure chests inside me, and now there are monsters. You want to help me out? I am the ancient god of an actually pretty small lake. Or something. And there are monsters inside me. You want to help me out? But in Dodongos Cavern, it's much more of a political move, almost an economic power play. The Gorons are starving after an evil man in black sealed the entrance to the mine where they get their food, because they refused to hand over their spiritual stone. Where's the magic? Where's the mysticism other than the spiritual stone? You know what? That's okay. Keeps things interesting. Although, I gotta say, first stepping into Dee Dee's funhouse, whoa, dragon skull on the wall, that's pretty metal. I'm gonna call him Josh. Dodongos Cavern always felt so intimidating to me, even aside from Josh. Everything is high-ceilinged, obviously intended for creatures much larger than yourself. There's a lot of wow factor going on here that makes it really feel like you're on a proper adventure. Like when you're walking across the hanging bridges over the entrance hall. Yikes, for real. Even the doors absolutely dwarf you. It's like, how are those doors opening? I know it's like some kind of Star Trek door business going on, but like, why is it listening to you? You're so tiny! And even when you're an adult, nothing really seems to get smaller. Sup, Josh? Yeah, Dodongos Cavern. Unique and approachable without losing its appeal. One of my all-time favorite Zelda temples. At the moment. Right now. Whatever. Number 4. Snowhead Temple, Majora's Mask. If there's one thing I love about Majora's Mask, it's cruising around the countryside in my low rider. And by that I mean as a Goron. Changing forms in Majora's Mask was such a huge game changer all the way back in the when, and when I discovered that yes, they were indeed going to let us roll around as a real live honest to goodness for real and for true Goron, I knew this was my favorite game of all time. Sort of. It's so fast, it's so fun, it's hard to get the hang of, but it's really great that the game starts you as a Goron surrounded by snow, which is kind of like Goron rolling on easy mode. It's also awesome that they have a temple that makes solid use of the mechanic, which just makes my life. The temple at Snowhead in Majora's Mask is always the one that I remember the most vividly. The big central pillar design makes it compact and easy to picture, which might be why it always springs to mind. But geez, if there isn't a lot of cool stuff going on here, not the least of which is all the Goron rolling you gotta do, the Wizrobe boss fights, the not overdone Lens of Truth secrets hiding all over the place, and even a puzzle which is possible to get wrong. Yeah, there's a puzzle with a wrong solution in this temple that you have to reset and try again if things don't go well. How cool is that? One other thing that I really like about this temple is the geological variation you can see, and I know that sounds kind of out of place for this channel, but when you hit the ground floor and there's lava all around you, it's like, hang on, this is an ice temple, what gives? But it's a cool detail, and I love that the designers thought of this. No matter how cold it is in here, we're still in a mountain, like deep into the crust of the planet. This is the sort of detail that I crave in environment design, and Snowhead Temple is a great example of that, placing it squarely at number 4 at the moment. And it's also got the best boss fight in the world. No, seriously, it's best because of the rolling! Number 3. Dragon Roost Cavern, Wind Waker. Has there ever been a more badass sounding name than Dragon Roost Cavern? I mean, yeah, probably, but still, it's pretty metal. It turns out that it's an active volcano? Are you serious? Like, are the dragons also just listening to Iron Maiden all day? Okay, so I guess the whole island as a whole looks a bit more like this, which I guess is to be expected. I mean, it's Wind Waker, but it also happens to be home to another one of my favorite Zelda temples. When you're first meandering around the interior of Dragon Roost Cavern, it's kind of like what you might expect. Big, dark antechambers, red-hot rooms with lava pits. Actually, this is all pretty cool in of itself. It's kind of awe-inspiring to see such a huge cavern like this, just so teeming with life or design, whatever. You really buy the intensity, the danger, if you will. Be carefully making your way through this hellish hell pit of hell because, you know, fire, only to emerge through a door into the, outside? Wait, that wasn't it, was it? This kind of goes back to the geographical aspects I brought up in the last entry, but I love the contrast between the two sides of this temple. Half the time you're stepping lightly through certain doom, and the other half you're scaling the side of a breezy oceanside mountain, which, speaking as a former factory worker myself, is a great way to kill your workplace acclimatization. Some might call this jarring or dissonant, and well, yeah, I do too, but isn't it wonderful? The effect of the internal sections are almost smothering. You can feel the heat radiating off the screen, but suddenly stepping out into the breezy air, waves splashing at the foot of the mountain, birds cawing around you, it's almost like a mental breath of fresh air. But of course, for those of us who are terrified of heights, whole new thing to think about up here. This temple covers so much ground, it's almost silly. I think it's great how it isn't confined to a single theme the whole way through. Easily worth the number 3 spot. At the moment. Right now. Whatever. Number 2. Snow Peak Ruins, Twilight Princess. I've spoken before about my love of Snow Peak Ruins pretty much a year ago, in fact, in my top 10 scary things in non-scary games video, which was the one time I brought up a Zelda game. Whether or not the Yeti is in fact as terrifying as I make him out to be is up for debate, but there is no way you will ever convince me that this temple isn't one of the most interesting to have come out of the series. I really had to fight with myself over which one would get the number 1 spot, either this one or the one that got the number 1 spot, so you can see who lost that fight. But what sticks with me the most when it comes to Snow Peak is just how long it took me to realize I was in a temple when I got here the first time. I mean, I follow the scary guy into his house, and it's basically just a house. He's in there making supper, his wife is there, oh, she's not feeling well. Okay, well, I guess I can wander around a bit, and then I discover they have a really messed up backyard. Pretty soon I start to notice things like puzzles, mini-bosses, a map, and wait a minute, I'm in a dungeon! And suddenly the words appearing across the screen about 15 minutes ago when I walked in the door like they did in every other temple kind of makes sense. How about that? When I'm wandering around the chilly halls of Snow Peak Manor, it really makes me question just what could constitute a dungeon in these games. I mean, how often do we get to experience conversation when we're in the act of adventuring? How quaint that we've taken the weight off of, okay, that happened for some reason, onto, oh, try that door, that's probably where I left the thing that you're looking for. I just love what this temple says about a Zelda game. It kind of doubles down on the whole we can make a temple out of anything idea, and makes a temple out of making dinner for somebody who's under the weather. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much, but suffice it to say that the realization I had while starting this temple, combined with its out-of-the-box inventiveness, secured this temple as my all-time favorite. Or close to. For now. I mean, it's number 2 on this list. Whatever! Number 1. The Forest Temple, Ocarina of Time. Yes, Ocarina gets to start and finish the list. And I mean, what can I say? It's an important game, despite the fact that people are souring on it now. It's kind of weird to look at all of the differing opinions on the internet about this game. It's almost like Ocarina has officially become the best and worst game in the series. But ain't nobody gonna convince me the Forest Temple isn't the coolest dungeon in the series at the moment, right now, whatever. If there's one major fault to this temple that I will admit, it's a bit empty. There are rooms in here that really serve no purpose beyond being a part of a level construction, and that are kind of like, what's the point of this? Like, I'm seeing this, but I don't see what it's for. That seems like a weird gripe, but it mostly forms itself out of the main reason why I love this temple so much. This temple tells a story. It basically has its own internal mythology. I mean, I guess they all kind of do, but here it's so wonderfully built into the actual look and feel of what's around you. When I look around these huge entrance halls and branching courtyards, I see a history here. A huge old mansion built far out into the reaches of the Lost Woods. The old money Hylian family who built it dying out hundreds of years ago, only for the place to become overrun with growth and wildlife, undead creatures roaming the halls. This is one of the best examples of storytelling by design I can think of. It might take a bit of mental travel to get there, but this temple still fills me with questions about its origins and backstory every time I play it. My favorite aspect of which are the four Poe sisters. I mean, are they members of the family who once lived there? If not, how'd they get there? What's their story? And why are they named after the main characters from Little Women? Yeah, that's a thing. Probably just an Easter egg, but, you know, fan theories and such. Post that on the right subreddit, you'll probably get some karma. Wandering around haunted houses has always been one of my favorite activities in video games, and the Forest Temple is, in my mind, the most unique iteration of that, outshining its Ocarina-based brethren and remaining my all-time favorite Zelda temple. At the moment. Right now. Whatever. Just want to take a moment to say thank you to everybody who's been watching my channel over the last year. I have a few more videos planned for the year, but, you know, it never hurts to say it now in case they don't work out for some reason. I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. Huge thank you to Long Arms for the brief cameo he had in the beginning. Called him up one day and I'm like, hey dude, you want to do a thing? And he was like, yeah, I want to do a thing. And then he did a thing. Take care everybody, and I'll see you next time.